And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on Ohana. And down at the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg player from Complexity. He's won 2 games in a row. He's trying to make it 3. It's goSu User. And his opponent in the upper left-hand corner, our red Zerg player from Acer. Their 4th Zerg player in a row, of course. It's Nergio.
Yep, fourth Zerg player in an all-Zerg squad. So let's see if he's got something up his sleeve for goSu User. Nergio did just watch those last 2 games, so he should have an idea of what goSu User's been up to. Maybe goSu User will be able to switch it up and surprise Nergio, though. I mean, I'm sure this is a very powerful ZVZ build that he's been using, but I'm sure he's got some other builds in store for situations like this where he's got to play multiple games in a row. Nergio and goSu User both building the exact same stuff at the moment.
Okay, we'll see if goSu User decides to do everything he did after the last couple of games. He decided to start with Pool first, then went into a hatch 4 queens, actually then a 5th queen before moving up to a 3rd base and a Rotorn before anything else. Now Nergio, we know, has watched this. He was chatting the entire last game. So we'll see if he has a little bit different approach to this, or what he's going to do. It looks like he's going to go for a hatch first. Actually, hatch first from both players, so already goSu User switching things up on us.
Yep, slightly different build out of Nergio this time, or excuse me, out of goSu User. Nergio is going to follow suit, though, with essentially the exact same build, and you know, there are a handful of ZVZ builds that are just considered to be the most efficient. I'm wondering if goSu User is actually going to build a Baneling Nest this game or not, since he's basically 0 for 2 on utilizing Banelings at all, and the pool's going up at the exact same time. It looks like the drone, nope, I was going to say the drone might be our first divergence in build. That second drone, not going to be it either. We're going to reach the 3-minute mark with not a single difference in these build orders. This used to be like TVT would reach 7 or 8 minutes in mirror matches before the builds diverged at all.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's actually a really good point to bring up, because TVT has become, I still think that it's a very dynamic matchup. It's fun to watch, especially whenever you've seen like PvZ over and over and over and over and over again. It's fun to watch a TVT, and ZVZ is becoming much like that too. I mean, the first game that we saw that was ZVZ of the night, that was between who was it? It was Paranoid and goSu User, correct? Or, yeah. And you know, it ended up becoming pretty ridiculous. And then there was the game versus it was versus Bly. I'm sorry, it was versus Bly on Metropolis.
Oh, that's right. Minigun beat Paranoid in that long game.
Right. So, I mean, we saw, you know, very crazy starts here. We're starting to see that in PvP, too, as players are expanding much more often. So the mirror matchups are actually becoming pretty cool to watch.
PvP is still pretty interesting. It's kind of still kind of goofy, though, when it's a build order lost outright and you just have a ton of Zealots on one side and nothing on the other. That tends to happen. ZVZ, the mirrors usually start with those Baneling Wars, and sometimes you get a big blast, sometimes you don't, and that sort of decides whether the game is going to reach a mid-game or not. Nergio did go for gas way sooner than goSu User. goSu still has not added on an extractor at all, and Nergio has Zergling Speed already on the way, so I'm very curious if goSu User is going to skip that Zergling Speed and Baneling Nest a 3rd game in a row. It looks like he is hunkering down with the Spinecrawler now, and probably just wants to build that Rotorn first.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, with 4 queens again, he's gone about it a slightly different way and a little bit more defensive, but it's essentially the same net result. This time with a little bit more economy to back it up, I suppose. Baneling Nest is down for Nergio, though, as he wants to make sure he's not going to take any sort of pressure. He's only picked up on the expansion from his opponent. He saw it at a time when he knew that it was a hatch first, so, I mean, that was good, usable information, but goSu User not really deviating from what we've seen.
That's right. He's putting up 2 extractors now, so there's that Rotorn finally started. He is going to skip the Ling Baneling Wars completely and just stay defensive, as we saw in the game against Bly and again against Dark Hydra just now. Dark Hydra never really had the option to attack in, though, because he skipped his Baneling Nest in that game as well, and you just had, you know, roaches massing up on either side. In the game against Bly, though, the 2 Banelings that he sent along for the ride just did not get any damage done. We'll see if Nergio is going to have any better luck with that. As he works his way across, he's got enough for 4 Banelings right off the bat, and he sees the Queen layout. He's looking at the Spine Crawlers, trying to get in at those drones. Making the Queens come to him is a pretty good move, but you know, there's a lot of them.
Yes. But that was still a clever maneuver from Nurchio. It didn't end up working out as well as he would have liked, but he was able to put on pressure at exactly the time when Gosu User was susceptible. He knows that he was going for some sort of a build like this, and it was a good guess that he was bypassing the Baneling Nest once again. That provides valuable insight to Nurchio. He didn't do any damage, but it gives him good scouting information.
Nurchio's building that Spire like we saw Bly do, and Ghost User is now just getting his lair, so I'm curious if this is gonna, come back to bite him, since Ghost User was so well prepared against Bly. He had the Evo Chamber and the Spore Crawlers already ready. The Infestation Pit and Pathogen Glands came shortly after that, and I'm gonna sneeze.
Okay, well, while he does that, I'll also mention that it was an incredibly early Spire for Nurchio, and decided, to put up his lair tech much earlier than we see even normal Zerg players in ZVZ going for Spire. Now he's up to 4 gas, now he's up to a 3rd base and starting to bank those resources, yes, but maybe early enough to catch Gosu User a bit unawares.
Yep, and that was quite a powerful sneeze. I did.
Well done.
Try to mute the microphone. I don't know if you guys ended up hearing that or not, but either way, Spire will be done for Nurchio in just a moment, and I'm really kind of curious if this is going to play out the same way we saw against Bly. Nurchio still running in, trying to score some drone kills, definitely not going to have the DPS to kill that queen before getting taken out by the roaches, so Ghostier's still hanging on, but look at that, over at the 3rd base, this is going to force a cancel for sure. That drone is forfeit as well, so Nurchio at least staying on top of that and trying to keep Ghost User pinned in. Now the Infestation Pit is about halfway done. He's going to want that 3rd base to be able to afford lots and lots of Infestors and Hydralisks eventually.
There are 8 Mutalisks on the way now, so Nurchio is really committing quite a bit to this. Infestation Pit is most of the way finished for Gosu User, though, so in about 90 seconds or so, he'll have Infestors officially out on the map. Once Pathogen Glands gets 30 seconds of the way finished, that's when you can start building Infestors, so that they take advantage of the upgrade whenever they actually finish producing. It's the quickest moment that you can do that.
All right, so Pathogen Glands nearly halfway done. We've got another hatch, that 3rd base trying to get established for Ghost User, but Nurchio is blocking Ghost User pretty heavily here. The last time this happened, he made a round of 5 Overlords and was able to get everything stabilized, but this time he's going to be blocked for quite a while as these next 3 or 4 OVs get produced here.
And it looks like Nurchio will find another one across the map, so this is pretty devastating. This is doing a lot of damage, and Nurchio has some flexibility and some time to work with this. And we can see the resources starting to accumulate for Ghost User now, and he hasn't been able to start any of his Infestors, and Pathogen Glands is finishing right now.
All right, Pathogen Glands done for Ghost User. Still no Infestors out on the field to take advantage of it, though, and these Mutalisks are all clumped up and ready to be fungled, so that's just going to be too bad for Ghost User. He did get his 3rd base up, though, which is very important. He's going to have to be able to defend. He's got pretty good Spore Crawler placement at each of his bases, not to mention those queens, roaming around trying to keep tabs of all these Mutalisks. As soon as they come over to deal with the Mutas, though, you can see Lings running in toward that 3rd base. That's totally exposed again. The good thing for Ghost User is that there are no drones there that will be lost in this attack, and he might be able to get there in time to save the hatch. There he does with lots of transfusions. That's a benefit of having 5 queens at your disposal.
And he actually leaves the drone alive with 1 hit point. What?
That's just
if
a mistake.
That drone survives, I know, but that's crazy to me. That drone is actually going to survive. Mutas are ducking back in.
Oh,
a nice
they're the
fungal growth
fungals.
does catch all of or most of them in place, though.
And this is where things start to go well for Ghost User, as Hydralisk Den, I don't know if it actually was completed or started, but look at that. Fungals and Queens taking out a lot of Mutas there. I don't see a Hydralisk. Oh yeah, there it is actually. So he doesn't have the Groove Spine started yet. He will eventually, probably the next upgrade in order for him, and he's making his first wave of Hydras now. This is looking a lot like the game against Bly.
Now, hopefully he checks it, because normally you would have produced it by now, and it can be one of those things like, oh, okay, my Hydralisk Den just finished, I'm starting some Hydralisks. Oh wait, there's units here, I have to defend against those, and you just kind of forget about it. So it wouldn't be the biggest deal, but there we go. It is now on the way. Okay,
so yeah, that's the fact that it's like the must-have upgrade, though. It's kind of like Thermal Lances for Colossi. Usually it's like, okay, I got Colossi, and then you don't even think about using them until you've got that upgrade. It's just like such a huge thing. I mean, Bio, you can get away without Stim for quite a while if the situation calls for it, but it's like you might as well not even have Hydras or Colossi without those range upgrades. So it's remembered most of the time, I think. We'll see Ghost User making 5 more Hydras now. The Den for Nurchio is nearly done, but Ghost User will have the unit advantage if he attacks soon. He's also going to have +2 ranged weapons done before Nurchio, significantly before Nurchio does.
And Nurchio loses the last couple of Hydralisks. They're not able to do any more damage. Overall, though, it looks like Nurchio's up by 5 workers, but and way ahead on Roaches, but of course his opponent is pretty far ahead once again on Infestors and Hydralisks, and these are the key categories that Ghost User has been ahead on, and he's moving out with almost the exact same push. And I think they're mentioning, yeah, no Roach speed, but unfortunately.
If the Roaches were way faster than the Hydras, he'd have to be constantly managing that, so
still gonna be bad.
Out.
Still gonna be bad.
Maybe, we'll see. You know, all the Hydras and Roaches are going to arrive at the same time, though. Concaves are what he's looking for here. Fungals definitely help in that regard. And 2 big Fungals, 3 big Fungals landing, 4 big Fungals landing, taking down the HP of these Roaches incredibly quickly. You can see 1 or 2 Fungals there from Nurchio's side, but look, all these units are already in the red, and the natural DPS from these Hydras and Roaches with +2 weapons, mind you, where Nurchio's is still not finished. That is just an easy fight there for Ghost User. He's going to continue to press in, and Nurchio will have that upgrade, but he's going to have 21 Roaches coming from 4 different hatcheries. This is going to be rough.
And Paranoid was saying before that fight that Nurchio's micro and CVC is exceptional. But he said but he put in the caveat that it's cross-server, so you never know. And right. Scarlet threw up the uh-oh about halfway through that fight.
We have uh-oh, and lots of Infestors still standing for Ghost User. Did expend all their energy. Still sending another wave of units up from home, and the Queens are doing their best and trying to use these Roaches and keep them alive as long as they possibly can. The Infestors are going to be out of energy here soon, and the Roaches look like they will be able to battle back this first wave. Maybe not. Wow, he's actually going to back off. They both have +2 weapon upgrades, but the Queens are probably going to go down here. Oh, the next wave of Roaches and Hydras finally arriving for Ghost User. That's another dozen or so Roaches, and they are going to continue smashing into this 3rd base. Looks like Nurchio is making just Roaches and a couple of Hydras to be able to try and stop this, but Ghost User has switched almost entirely into Hydra production.
And Nurchio is down almost 100 supply, and he's about ready to lose his 4th base. He's already lost his 3rd. He's going to be down to just his natural and his main. And even with the amount of Hydralisks out of there, it's not enough. There's a GG from Nurchio, and Ghost User just won his 3rd game in a row, and he has put Complexity just 1 game away from advancing into the up and down matches.
Ghost User's looking pretty darn good in ZVZ, and
yes, he is.
This is a good day to be hot on your Zerg versus Zerg, especially facing a team with nothing but Zerg players. And it looks like Acer is actually saving, you know, the Acer Ace to be Scarlet.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting that they did not have Nurchio as their last player. That must mean that they feel Scarlet is better able to handle anything that Complexity can throw at them, including their 2 very powerful Korean Terran players.
Yeah, I could see that.
So that's kind of interesting that Nurchio is, you know, going to be relegated to 4th slot while Scarlet is going to be their ace. But so far, just amazing play out of Ghost User. That build just looks incredibly good.
Okay, well, we are going to run to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to see how the final player from Acer is going to do. She not only has to kill Ghost User, but likely 2 Korean Terran players afterwards if she can get through Ghost User. So we'll see what happens. Looks like the map is going to be K-Daria. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for game number 7.